Everyone, very good morning to you all. Charles here, Fergran's Daily Chart Analysis. So the day is definitely kicking off in line with the bias, to be quite honest. Forecasted a much better day, opposing to last week. Seemed a bit quiet based on where the DXY was at the time of speculating. The DXY was up at those highs, rejecting that 50 EMA on the weekly time frame, and we had every reason to believe that price was going to reject that weekly 50 EMA down to those lows. Nevertheless, waking up seeing that price is above the 4 hours, still have an absolute range to get up to that weekly 50 EMA again before looking potentially to reject it, or in my bias looking for price to actually push slightly higher, refine within that weekly onto that daily time frame, daily order block before then we find that DXY weakness perhaps to come into the market. Nevertheless, a couple of positions taken today, meaningful positions anyway. So I'm GU short, very low percentage overnight. Not really paying too much attention to that. Don't usually trade throughout the Asia session rather. It's just that I was awake at the time. This was from a best opportunity position from last week. Therefore, one price came into that 15-minute order block, gave me that break of structure, took that short position pretty much immediately, then went to bed, to be quite honest. And then moving on into the day. So Asia range position to kick off the day on Gbpcad. Let's see if charts are going to load for me with slow internet. Let's have a look. So Gbpcad longs at the moment, basically just an Asia range setup. First order block below Asia wasn't mitigated throughout the period, therefore it's very much so a point of interest for an Asia range type of position. Can I understand why I'd be looking to refine that area or trade from that area? Well, yeah, if I go on basic principles of 15-minute structure, high created, does that higher low area present for me a 15-minute order block? Yes, it does. It also corresponds nicely with that structure point as well, based on a higher time frame point of interest at how I'd like to short Gbcad. But nevertheless, we had that 1 minute break of structure. Price came back into a 1 minute order block, and I took that long position there on Gbcad, looking to fill Asia before looking to get out of that position, hoping that price would then pull up slightly higher into this area before giving me the entry criteria for a short position down based on that higher time frame analysis for Gbcad. Currently also in an AU short. Also, this morning snap and retest. I like how price is looking to have developed, creating those very intricate lower lows and lower highs in and around the area. If I go to my analysis this morning, I definitely didn't have that current short point of interest in on the chart. I was only focusing on the highs and lows, to be honest, but as you can see, just in this area, we had that 15-minute order block that gave the snap, looking for the pullback to then look for that short continuation. In favor of that position, what I do like as well is that this current 15-minute order block that I shorted from is still refined within that area. So I'm definitely reliant upon my higher time frame bias and point of interest. Reasons for going in that position slightly earlier, as opposing to waiting for the highs and lows, and even the fact that I took it on an imbalanced candle short, opposing to wait for those highs. 4 hour order block, 4 hour 50 EMA. I love how price is rejecting that EMA. 3 hours and 33 minutes left of that current 4 hour candle, hoping for price potentially to pull back up. But ultimately, I'm expecting price to reject that 4 hour 50 MA. And now what I'm seeing in the market on the 4 hours, that low created, lower high potentially for that lower low continuation. So when I understand that that's what I'm looking at on the 4 hour time frame, I need to make it make sense on the 15. So then as I start to bring that 15 minute into play a little bit better, I've got a couple ways of looking to take that. Of course, the safest way is look for this structure point to be broken on that 15-minute time frame. It wasn't. We had the wick to the lows, which gave me that break of structure on the 1 minute time frame, which is also a reason why I was a little hesitant to take it from here, I must be honest. And the better play would certainly be waiting for this 15-minute order block to come into play to take that short position down from that. But nevertheless, what we had on that 15-minute time frame is this bearish engulfing candle. Pricing came back into that imbalance with that 15-minute candle or bearish candle closure, which in essence allow me to short from that 50-minute order block anyway. So I feel that's a good position, regardless of how you paint it. We've got that gap to lows to be filled as well. And then ultimately understanding the DXY. So of course, if I am to take profit on EU, I need DXY strength obviously to come into the market. And what I'm seeing here on the 15-minute time frame if that's going to load. Although higher time frame on the DXY, I believe we're in a range. Can I understand where I am in that range? Previous 4-hour candle on the DXY closed bullish above that 4-hour 50 EMA, so I like it in terms of price. Then looking to retest that 4-hour 50 EMA, push back towards the upside. What is that? That's DXY strength. So then if we use that information onto the 15-minute time frame, just looking to identify some points of interest on the DXY where we're failing to break and close above or below. So the first point in the market that just gets my eye is this area here, again above that 4-hour 50 EMA nicely. And then if you just look, again, just eyeballing the market to understand what's going on, here is a clear area in the market where price is failing to break and close below. Therefore, for me currently, this is the play here on the EU as it is on the DXY. So hoping that we have that higher high, higher low for that higher high continuation on the DXY, and then ultimately on the EU, if that's going to load for me today, we should have exactly quite similar status. So we've got that lower low, lower high for that low low continuation. As I say, always, it's just a thought process, it's just a forecast. Risk is managed and price can essentially do whatever it wants to do, but that's the positions I'm in currently. So I'm in a GU short overnight held, EU short currently, and I'm in that Gbcad Asia range long as well. So we'll see how the day crumbles today. Of course, Gbcad and GU are definitely opposing each other at the moment as Gbcad pushes to those highs, and of course EU is also looking to push slightly higher as well. But nevertheless, it's a managed position. I like both, therefore I look to take both options. And Gbcad at the moment, I'll lock that off at break even shortly, and then understand that EU has every possibility to take me out today. But that is ultimately fine. Thank you very much, team. Appreciate the support across the channels. Hope it helps in some capacity. And take care. All the very best in your training journey. All the best, Charles.